Sort of. Team Rising is going to weigh in on the whatever is happening right now.
Whatever the hell is going on today. We have Eduardo Rodriguez. He's principal at the Raven Group and Capitol Hill reporter at the Daily Caller. Henry Rogers, two great friends of the show. So basically, I guess the one thing we know is that Bernie and Pete Buttigieg have both kind of said, Bernie says they expected that they did well. Pete declared a basically quasi-victory. Let's take a listen to both of those speeches and we'll get your reaction.
We don't know all the results, but we know by the time it's all said and done, Iowa, you have shocked the nation. Because by all indications, we are going on to New Hampshire victorious.
I imagine, have a strong feeling that at some point the results will be announced. And when those results are announced, I have a good feeling we're going to be doing very, very well here in Iowa.
Eduardo, I'll go to you first. Do you think it was wise for Pete Buttigieg to declare himself victorious before all of the information there, or was it a smart political move?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely, I do. Because there's no information out there, and you want to keep the energy up. You want to move on to the next state. Meanwhile, you have Klobuchar saying, we punched above our weight.
Yeah.
And Biden saying, we're going to get our fair share.
Yes.
I'm like, what are you running for? Dogcatcher. There's no energy that they're exuding to say, whatever happens, we believe we've won, we've excited a base, and we're going to take that and go to the next state. Whether he's wrong, does it even matter at this point with everything that's happening this week?
It's
I don't know.
Politically shrewd, Henry. I think I probably would have done the same thing. I'd be like, get out there and just say you won.
Exactly.
Who knows?
I thought it was genius. I thought everyone should have done that, honestly. Then we would have been in a bigger scramble, to be honest with you. Last night was a disaster.
Yeah.
I think we can all agree on that.
Certainly.
I think that Pete was smart to do that because I mean, from what we can tell, because no one knows what the hell is going on, from what we can tell, Pete did pretty well last night. Bernie did really well last night. So I think that it was smart, and I think that maybe all of them should have said that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all can agree that it was a disaster. And Henry, I mean, broadly what I'm thinking about with Bernie Sanders is that both him and Pete Buttigieg, if they're the ones who won out of tonight, they really did get robbed from a media perspective. 100%. And Biden has been completely saved. I've been hammering this home this entire show, which is that this guy, by all indications, got like fourth place and a distant fourth at that. And if that is the case, I mean, massively underperforming your polls to the tune of 6 to 7%. That's a disaster for your
I mean, and he's the alleged top candidate, or at least
electability candidate.
Yeah, I mean, and and he's polling awful in Iowa, not looking too good for New Hampshire.
Right.
That's a disaster.
Yeah.
It's really, so these new polls that come out, I mean, he's got to drop significantly, but who knows? Because we see this all the time, and he always remains in that number 2 spot or number 1 spot, and just nothing happens to him. It's like the dude can't get hit.
His first votes were cast.
And he's got to raise some money.
Yeah.
And donors are going to look at this and go, you know what? We're going to wait and see how this plays out.
Yes, but we also know that out of those candidates, who polls very well among communities of color, Biden and Bernie.
Yeah.
And so we still have those states that many argue are truly representative of today's America. Iowa, the argument, the diversity numbers aren't there to be representative of what some of the major states.
That's true,
That
although
totally holds,
let's put that South Carolina poll up if we've got it out there, guys, that shows Biden losing ground both to Bernie Sanders and Tom Steyer. And I mean, this is the state. This is the state that, and Steyer's actually doing quite well with African Americans, by the way.
Incredibly well. Look at that poll right there. He's got 18%.
Wow.
Biden actually, what was it, 6 points that he fell in this poll? It was a pretty dramatic number.
Originally in this poll, Joe Biden was winning by 31 points.
Right.
So that gives you a sense of how he's just slipped and slipped and slipped and slipped.
Yeah.
This is the state that his campaign keeps pointing to as like the firewall. But we've seen these firewall strategies go down in flames many, many times before, Henry.
Yeah, and Bernie's polling at 20%. I mean, to me, that just shows, I think he's on a road to victory. I think that Bernie Sanders is 100% on a road to victory. If he can pull off New Hampshire, if he can pull off Nevada, if he can pull off South Carolina, 100% road to victory.
Yeah.
And if he has the black vote like it's looking like he does, game over.
What do you think, Eduardo? This is something I've been kind of gaming out on the show. Is I really think that this. I mean, Crystal holds this view, which is that this couldn't have gone better for Bernie in this view. If Buttigieg comes in second, he's not a serious candidate, right? He can't get Nevada or South Carolina. Warren is kind of the same thing. So in my view, I look at that, and I think Bloomberg is waiting in the wings because, so you have the former vice president, he's gone. Warren and Buttigieg, no serious contention with candidates of color. Michael Bloomberg's got an ocean of money. Super Tuesday. Right. People of color seem to like him. So
well, I mean, it's not the millionaire from some random state.
Yeah.
It's New York, and he was the mayor of New York City, one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse city in the country. If he doesn't know how to connect with communities of color, then he's throwing money away.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you though, there's no one Bernie Sanders would love to run against more than Bloomberg.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect contrast.
Matchup
A perfect contrast.
All time.
Absolutely, on every level. I was reading this article about how he was, wanted to cut Social Security and Medicare and said, oh, the Erskine Bowles cuts weren't even sufficient. And this was coming on the heels of him having paid a solidarity visit to Goldman Sachs. So, I mean, look, right now he's out there running ads, and they're good ads, right? But they're completely unanswered. I think when Democratic voters are reminded of, like, this guy backed George W. Bush and John McCain and the Iraq War and privatizing Social Security, all those things, they may have a different feeling about it.
This guy is not Donald Trump. This guy actually led one of the most diverse cities in the country after 9/11. So I hear you because it's perfect for Bernie.
It's perfect for Bernie. That's
Two
what
New
I'm saying.
Yorkers.
Well, and here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that is good for Bernie coming out of this. Obviously, if he really won last night, which it looks very likely that he did, not my assessment. It's his campaign's assessment. Okay, we'll take that with a grain of salt. It's also Dave Wasserman's assessment that it looks like that's what most likely happened. So, of course, be better if you actually knew that.
Sure.
But the real danger for him has always been that there was a rapid coalescing around one alternative. For example, if Biden had a great night last night and he comes in first or a close second and everybody jumps on the Biden train, I think Bernie versus Biden, I think it's very hard. If it's just a head-to-head, I think it's hard for Bernie to win that matchup. When you have the whole establishment lane split between Pete and Warren and Biden and Amy and Bloomberg and Steyer, that's a very good landscape
it's
for
almost
Bernie
better
Sanders.
if and I'm not saying this,
Sure.
but it's almost better if Biden does come in fourth or fifth, because then you have a clear vision of the remaining candidates, who's really there. If it is Bloomberg, because he's got the money to compete. If Biden does continue on, then I think your scenario is exactly right. It still remains scattered with people scrambling.
Well, and he's going to continue on. I mean, he's not going to drop out.
But will the money follow, as you said, if he doesn't?
I don't think so.
And so he limps along as something else than actually moving aggressively and building up
big
support.
questions ahead.
I think a lot of people limp along from here, including me.
Yes.
Senator Bennett's still running, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Still in the hunt.
That's the next segment?
That's it. All right, stick with us. We got more with these guys just after this.